I'm joined by Kyle BoggBlade. Welcome, Kyle.
How are you?
Raja Suleiman with Orzhov.
Max McVitie.
Congratulations, Brian DeMars. Zach Allen.
I wouldn't be here without these guys, though. So.
And the champion of Proto Counter-Attack here, Relax.
Welcome to Making Magic Happen at the beautiful RAW Hobbies and Game Shop in Livonia, Michigan. I'm Zach Allen, joined by my teammate
Kyle BoggBlade.
And today we got some modern paper magic for you guys. I'm going to be playing Amulet Titan. I got a list online I like. I made some changes. I really wanted to see how it played out. Kyle over here is going to be playing Blue Edge Stoneblade, but before we get to that, I want to give you a quick rundown of my list. For those that don't know, Amulet Titan is a deck built around, and the only thing it's trying to do is cast Primeval Titan. It's trying to do it as quick as possible and in a way that it resolves, and there's a lot of tools to do that. We have a bunch of accelerants in Sakura Tribe Scout, which is a 1-mana, I guess, snake, but it's a 1-mana 1/1 that you can tap it to put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. And we have Sky Shroud Ranger as well, which is essentially the same card. The only difference is this one I can only activate as a sorcery, and Tribe Scout I can activate at instant speed. And then we have Amulet of Vigor, and that's where the deck gets the name of, or the name from. Amulet of Vigor is a 1-mana artifact that says whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped under your control, untap it. And what this does is you are basically trying to abuse the bounce lands from, I believe this was original Ravnica, but the card, they had a cycle of all 10 of these that were each 2-color pair in Magic, and the card is a tap land that comes into play and makes you return another land to your hand, and then it can tap for blue and green. So basically it's a land that taps for 2 mana. You just have to return another land to your hand. And what that means, and the way you kind of abuse it, is it always comes into play tapped, so you can't like tap it for 2 mana the turn it comes into play, otherwise you'd be able to kind of break it. And that's why we're playing the Amulet, is to make these come into play tapped. Then we can untap them with the Amulet, and then we get to use 2 mana the turn they come into play. And this stacks with Amulet, so if like I have two Amulets in play, this card's going to make 4 mana. And it doesn't specify what land you return, so it can actually return itself. So with 2 Amulets in play and just 1 bounce land, you can make 8 mana, and it stacks. You could make 12 mana with 3 Amulets, so multiple Amulets in this deck get really ridiculous. And the way we're kind of breaking the you have to return lands from the bounce lands part of the card is a lot of cards that let us play extra lands. Like Azusa, Lost But Seeking, says I get to play 2 additional lands a turn. That's essentially what Sakura Tribe Scout and Sky Shroud Ranger do. I get to play additional lands every turn. And then we have one of the newer cards to the deck, which is called Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Basically, it just says I can play an additional land each turn. So 3 mana, 2/4. But it also says every land I control is each basic land type. So for the purposes of this deck, it means all of my lands are exactly what they are, but also they're mountains for the purposes of the Valakuts that we have in the deck. So I get to play Valakut the Molten Pinnacle with no actual mountains in my deck because it works really well with Dryad of the Elysian Grove. And we have other ways to find Primeval Titan. Basically, all we want to do is put Primeval Titan in play, get a bunch of lands in play. So we have Summoner's Pact to go get it. And we have the actual newest addition to the list in Fierce Empath, which is a 3-mana 1/1. But when it enters the battlefield, I can search my library for a creature of 6 CMC or greater and put it in my hand. And both of these are just going to get Primeval Titan. We just want to cast it. In terms of special lands, we've got Field of the Dead, and we have a ton of different lands in this deck. There's 32 lands, a bunch of different land names, so it's really easy to start making zombies with it. We've got Handweir Battlements. We're not flipping it over. It's just to give Primeval Titan haste, so we get additional put lands into play triggers. We've got Castle Garenbrig from Throne of Eldraine, which is a land that if I can make 4 other mana, I can tap it to add 6 mana and cast a creature. Basically, for the purposes of Primeval Titan, it taps for 2 mana. That's essentially all it's doing, but all we want to do is cast Primeval Titan anyway, so it's perfect. And then we have Teleria West as the last kind of interesting land, which is a land that can tutor for things that cost 0 CMC. It has an activated ability where if it's in my hand, I can discard it and search for something else that costs 0, which we use to get Summoner's Pact, which becomes more Primeval Titans. There's a chain where Primeval Titan gets a Teleria West in one of the bounce lands. The bounce land returns Teleria West to my hand. I then transmute the Teleria West to get another Summoner's Pack, so that Summoner's Pack will get a Primeval Titan, and basically every Primeval Titan gets another Primeval Titan. It's like Squadron Hawk, but with Primeval Titans. But it can also be used to fetch up a key land, like a Field of the Dead in some scenarios, a Valakut in other scenarios. I could get a Cavern of Souls if I needed to, all of that type of stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes today. I'm a big fan of this deck. I've played it quite a few times. Kyle, you want to tell us what you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, so I'm actually playing one of my favorite modern decks, Blue-White Stoneblade. And basically what it's doing is there's a lot of shells for blue decks. So I'm actually opting to go with Stoneforge Mystic and an equipment package. I like this version a lot because you can stick Stoneforge Mystic early, and you can combine it with either Sword of Feast and Famine or Batterskull, depending on the matchup. Between these two equipments, they cover like basically all the bases of Modern. Nearly every matchup, I'll either want Batterskull for aggressive decks, or Sword of Feast and Famine for control or combo decks, just as a way to apply pressure, because you can't just counter things, all day and expect to win. So Sword kind of helps close the game.
It also doubles your mana, which is just insane, right?
Yeah, it doubles your mana for some cool new cards that we're going to get to as well. So it's just kind of like been my favorite equipment for a while. So yeah, it's cool that it's kind of stood the test of time. Also, we have two Planeswalkers, Teferi Time Raveler and Jason Mind Sculptor. I'm playing 3 copies of Teferi Time Raveler, which is a little on the high side. I would say base Modern, like 2 is the right number, but because there's a lot of blue decks, I'm going to go with 3. It also works very well with Spell Queller because they don't get their spell back if it's in play, and you can bounce the Spell Queller with Teferi. So there's a lot of cool combos in this deck with Teferi, so I go with 3 instead. Jace Mind Sculptor, originally when all these Stoneforge Mystic decks came out, Jace was a 4 of. But now it's actually just a 2 of because 4 mana is a lot in Modern. So I'm going with 2 to kind of like complement the cryptic commands at the 4 mana slot. I only have a total of 5 4-drops, and that's good enough. But it's really sweet to connect with Sword of Feast and Famine, and then untap and slam Jace on main phase 2.
I was gonna say it's also like kind of clutch because you have 4 Stoneforges, right, and only 2 equipment. So like if you draw 3 Stoneforges, you can actually just like put a Batterskull back on a Brainstorm, Stoneforge again, shuffle, clear from the Brainstorm, still draw cards even on your like 3rd or even 4th Stoneforge.
Yeah, exactly. Stoneforge plus Jace, like insane combo, shuffles your deck, so it's kind of like a way to clear the top of the extra lands that you don't need, like in the late game. So the final piece of kind of the meat of the deck is Snapcaster Mage, Shark Typhoon, and Spell Queller. I'm actually opting to go for 2 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Shark Typhoon, and 2 Spell Queller. They all cost about 3 mana at the base, even though their converted mana costs are a little different. But they all have diminishing returns. Like, I don't want to draw too many Shark Typhoons, so that's kind of what I'm testing out here, because there's a lot of lists online that play 3 Shark Typhoon. I'm going with 2 just because it's a little more expensive, in favor of a couple Spell Queller, because they work really well with Teferi Time Raveler. Typically with, older versions of the deck, I played 4 Spell Queller before Shark Typhoon came out. Now it's just like another really powerful blue card. So now there's a lot more competition at this space. So I'm trying a mix, which is good because now I don't have to play too many Spell Queller, because it is weak to removal with 3 toughness, so it gets lightning bolted.
I was going to say, there's actually a lot of talk about Queller right now, just in the format of, hey, is it good? It's good in some matchups. There's also a lot of decks playing Bolts, and it's not good there, right? But I think in this matchup, the card shines. It's a nightmare for my deck. I can't really kill it unless I specifically have Valakut going, which if I have Valakut going, I'm probably in a good space anyway. So it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to get to kill it with the Valakut, and it just eats a spell, and then you can bounce it with Teferi and keep eating my spells, and I can't really do about it. It also gets around Cavern of Souls. Like if I want to resolve it Azusa and put Cavern of Souls on human to cast into Zusa. It just doesn't matter. Queller still eats it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like an Aether Gust too, where it exiles, so it beats, like Zach mentioned, Cavernous Souls. Also Veil of Summer as well, huge interaction. It eats that because it's not countering the spell.
Yep.
Yeah, and the main reason I still am keeping the Spell Queller is because if you cycle Shark Typhoon so you can connect with Sword of Feast and Famine, you're kind of taking a turn off of interacting with the opponent, only to put a creature on the battlefield to wear an equipment. So that's more of kind of a late game thing. But Shark Typhoon, super powerful card, Haymaker and Standard, and it's really good at pressuring opposing Teferi, Time Raveler, and Jason Mind Sculptor. So like it's definitely worth the inclusion. Super powerful. Yeah. So as far as the counterspell suite is concerned, I'm playing 1 Spell Snare, 2 Mana Leak, 3 Force of Negation, an Archmage's Charm, and 3 Cryptic Command. 3 Cryptic Command, kind of a lot, but it works well with my 2 Mystic Sanctuary. It's it's the most powerful spell to put back on top of your deck. You have a lot of loop interactions where you can counterspell, return Mystic Sanctuary, so you replay the Mystic Sanctuary. You'll just draw a ton of Cryptic Commands. You can also just permanently fog your opponent by tapping their creatures and then returning Mystic Sanctuary, so you just draw Cryptics all the time. Which is really good when you're in a race. You can just kind of turn the corner and turn into this, kind of prison deck and win a race.
I was gonna say, that's actually a really powerful interaction against my deck. I have a really hard time breaking up the Cryptic Mystic Sanctuary, tap my creatures, bounce Sanctuary lock, and I can make a ton of creatures and it just get all invalidated by just Cryptic tapping them.
Yep. Yeah, and the one, so Cryptic Command, super powerful. It's been around for 12 years. Still great in Modern. I'm trying an Archmage's Charm. A lot of people have kind of been on board already with Archmage's Charm. I'm a little late to the party because I always have Spell Queller in the same slot, so it doesn't quite work out as well in the list that I like to play. Because I'm more focused on just having the Mystic Sanctuary return Cryptic Command. So I haven't found myself really wanting the Archmage's Charm as much, but I'm giving it a try because I'm moving away from the Spell Queller interactions in this list. Now I have 1 Spell Snare, high diminishing return counterspell, so I don't want 2, but it is pretty good in the metagame right now. It's typically good enough in Modern. It counters a 2-drop. It's very good. Every deck is fairly low to the ground, so I'm happy to draw 1, but 2 can get a little awkward. And then 3 Force of Negation. That's kind of stock at this point. And then I have the 4th in the sideboard as well. And 2 Mana Leak to round it out. Just a generic catch-all counterspell. I wouldn't play 2 Mana Leaks in a really slow controlling deck, but because Stoneforge is looking to close the door and Spell Queller also pressures the opponent, I'm okay with playing 2 because it's okay because I don't expect the game to go super late. I'm looking to kind of turn the corner around turn 6 or 7 and just kind of establish some kind of haymaker that just kind of closes the game in a couple turns. So Mana Leak's pretty good in this deck. And then the final piece to talk about in the main deck is the removal suite. I have 4 Path to Exile, very stock. This last slot it's always kind of contested. It could be Supreme Verdict, it could be Dismember, it could be Oust. What else is there?
You can play On Thin Ice, you could play Condemn. There's so many.
They're the only thing they kind of have in common is they're all kind of mediocre. Path to Exile is super obvious. This last one, I'm going with Dismember because it's kind of it's a catch-all. I only have 1 because I don't intend to cast it more than once because I can only pay the Phyrexian mana. So I could put it on top with Mystic Sanctuary. It'd be a little painful, but I can gain life with Batterskull. Same with Snapcaster Mage. I have 2 Snapcasters. I can flashback Dismember if I really want to, but I'd rather not. Its downside is when it's bad, I can't chuck it to Force of Negation, unlike Supreme Verdict. But I'm not playing the Supreme Verdict in the main deck because I have the Spell Quellers. I don't want to have to wrath the board and give my opponent back their spell.
Makes sense. You want to touch on the Colonnade?
Yeah, so I have So as far as the special lands for this deck, I have Mystic Sanctuary, Field of Ruin, and Celestial Colonnade. Mystic Sanctuary only puts a spell on top if you control 3 other islands. So that, Mystic Sanctuary itself is an island. I have a lot of islands in the deck. Field of Ruin can search for islands, but kind of the odd land out is the Celestial Colonnade because it's not a dual land. It's not an actual island, so there's some dyssynergies with Mystic Sanctuary. So this final land in my deck, the Celestial Colonnade, I am only playing it because I have the equipments. I've actually won a ton of games where I just suit up Celestial Colonnade with Sword of Feast and Famine, which is kind of like I'm only putting the shields down a little bit because I invest all this mana equipping the Colonnade, but on second main phase I'll have all my mana back. So it's a good way to pressure Planeswalkers as well. So I'm only playing it on power level alone, but there are some dyssynergies with the Sanctuary.
Cool. And yeah, before we actually get into the matchup, how do you think this matchup is going to play? What do you think the kind of key interactions are here?
So we did actually play for, it was like top 8.
Yeah, we were playing for top 8 on SCG. Same matchup.
Yep, same matchup. These are these are kind of our flagship modern decks here. We played and I felt like the matchup was very close.
Yep.
You have the ability to just go completely nuts with Primeval Titan, run all over me. Like you mentioned though, Spell Queller, super good at kind of stopping the initial spells to build up to the Primeval Titan. The key interaction to look for is you have a Cavern of Souls in your list?
I have 2 actually.
Okay, he's got 2 Cavern of Souls. So those give me headaches because I want a Mana Leak and Cryptic Command Primeval Titan. But Zach's not going to expose the Cavern of Souls to my Field of Ruin. So we'll see a little bit of Zach sandbagging Cavern of Souls. I'm not going to use Field of Ruin until the Cavern is ready. So I kind of got to deal with the first Primeval Titan, then blow up his Cavern, and then kind of go from there. That's like one of the tests for me.
Yeah, I've found in the matchup some of the really key cards are Sword and Feast and Famine is horrible for me. You're not playing it for the pro green and black, but it does give a creature protection from green and black, which, as it turns out, is every single card in my deck. I have all green creatures and spells, and then I make black zombies with Field of the Dead. So Feast and Famine just makes whatever you have untouchable for me, essentially, which is kind of awkward. And if I can get a Primeval Titan in play with Cavern of Souls, I am generally very favored because it just kind of goes crazy with Valakut and Field of the Dead and everything else going on, unless you get into the Cryptic Tap Lock. Like if I can fight the fight and get a Primeval Titan in play, I'm winning until you start getting the Cryptic Tap Lock going, and then I'm just sitting there with thousands of power in play, and it's all just tapped all the time. So we'll see where it goes from there. I kind of have some counterplay to it, but it's not great, and I'm going to have to really make sure I don't get Cryptic Tap locked out of the game. So we'll see how it goes, but with that, let's shuffle up and battle. All right, we're back, Kyle. Do you want even or odd to see who goes first?
Even.
It is odd. I'm going to be on the play. All right, so my 7 has lands. That's good. I've got acceleration, but unfortunately I'm not going anywhere after that. So that's a little bit awkward. I'm a little scared Kyle's going to be able to get off to a quick start, given that my hand doesn't do anything. I do have a good piece of interaction, but I think this deck is just capable of much better 6s, so I'm going to go ahead and ship it.
Okay. So my hand's pretty decent. My number 1 card that I'm looking for in any matchup that requires fast interaction is Stoneforge Mystic, which this hand does not have. But I'm able to find it, and then I have a little bit of interaction and the mana to cast it, so I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, I think, too, just like an interesting point on the matchup, your deck is a lot less likely to mulligan because you're playing cards like Force Negation, and you have smoothing mechanics like Opt and cycling cards like Shark Typhoon, right?
Yep.
Whereas my deck, I don't have any of that. I kind of just am looking to have a good hand so I can just know what I'm doing and have my thing planned, and my deck is much more explosive, so I'm actually looking for explosive hands, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in my main deck, I mentioned Dismember being a little awkward against Primeval Titan, just like, and I can't chuck to force. But a key interaction here is I can dismember the Dryad of Elysian Grove.
Yep.
So I can do that like when Zach tries to go all in on like searching up Valakuts, I can just kill the 2/4. And similarly, I can just Path to Exile it as well. And those are probably the worst cards in my game 1 deck. So I am likely to just keep hands and spells for the most part. Like
I think to be fair, the worst card in your game 1 deck is Spell Snare because it actually doesn't have a target. I don't have anything
There you go,
else to.
yeah.
But outside of that, yeah, that's fair.
So my worst card has the Force of Will syndrome of it's okay to keep it because you can just
It's blue.
It's blue. You can chuck it. I can just brainstorm it away with Jace, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, you'll be good. Yeah, some Amulet Titan lists have Explore in them, so you like would have a target. This one does not, so no target. Okay, here's my 6. I'm a little short on mana. I'd like a little more, but I have some draw steps to find it, so I'm not super worried about that. My color situation is good. I have a key card in the matchup. Yeah, these are both really good in the matchup, so I like those. I'm definitely going to keep this one. And then I have 2 of these, which are both also both very good. The decision here is what I'm sending back, and I think it's going to be between this or this. And given that I'm a little short on mana, I think I have to keep this and then hope this one's good enough, and I'm going to send this one back. And I won the die roll, so I get to go first. I'm going to play Fill the Dead and pass to you.
All right. Okay, so I'm probably just going to be searching on turn 1. So I want to probably just get an island with a fetch land. So I'm going to play Scalding Tarn. Go ahead.
All right. That was a pretty good draw. I'm going to play a forest and play the Sky Shroud Ranger I drew and pass to you.
Begin your turn. I'm going to sacrifice, go to 19. Get a snow-covered island.
Are we opting?
We are opting.
Makes sense.
And I went with the Scalding Tarn ahead of the Flooded Strand that I had because Flooded Strand can get basic planes. Other than that, all the fetches are the same. So with this opt, I'm either looking for...
I think that's a common thing in Modern too, is that you want to save your better fetches. Like you use the bad fetches first whenever you can.
Okay, so here with this opt, I don't really want 2 of these, so I'm going to bottom this. And I'll draw. Okay, not great. Okay. So here, this is my interaction. So I'm going to play a... So I have both these in my hand. Kind of makes my fetches a little less powerful. But I can put them back in my hand, or back in my deck with Jason Mind Sculptor. So the fetches still have more value, and I can shuffle. So I'm just going to shotgun a Hallowed Fountain to 17. Go ahead.
Oh. 17. I have taken no damage, I'm still at 20. Alright, draw. Okay, that was a really good draw. We've been needing mana. And this card kind of functions as 2 lands, which is really important in this deck. I'm going to go ahead and play a forest. And then I want to play around his interaction. I'm going to cast the Dryad of Elysian Grove.
Okay, so Dryad. How many cards do you have in hand?
3.
3? Okay. I think I should... Let's see, so... The Mana Leak rarely counters Primeval Titan, so I think I'm just going to fire off the Mana Leak right here and hope to stun his development.
Okay. I can't wait on this one. This one only works as a sorcery, so I'm going to go ahead and activate it now. I'll put the Simic Growth Chamber I drew into play. I have to return a land in my hand. I'll return this forest and pass to Kyle.
Okay, so I'm just going to play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn.
All right. That's unfortunate. haven't played this deck in a while, so I actually screwed up. This draw means I screwed up my last turn. It was the right play with any other draw than this one, but now it's not the right play. So I'm going to start my turn by casting an Amulet of Vigor.
Amulet of Vigor. I'm gonna... So, one thing to do with this deck is to always posture with Force Negation. So I'm gonna crack Polluted Delta. Go to 16 life. I'm gonna go for Snow-Covered Island. There's no double white in the main deck, so I don't have Supreme Verdict. So once I have my white, I'm like kind of set here. I can get the second white much later on.
I was gonna say it might come up that you want to like snap path in the same turn, but
Yep.
yeah, you're probably not gonna use very much white in the same turn.
Yeah, so they're more late game play. So just grabbing the island for now. I'm gonna cycle Shark Typhoon and see if I can find a Force Negation. I'm gonna cycle for 1. Make a 1/1 Shark.
Gotcha.
Draw off cycling, and Amulet resolves.
Okay. We'll give that resolved, and now he's tapped out. I'm pretty safe to play this, so I'm going to cast a Fierce Empath. That lets me tutor for a creature. 6 or greater. The actual only target in my deck is Primeval Titan, so I'm going to get that. It's the one I wanted anyway.
Okay, and he doesn't have Cavernous Souls at this point, so I'm hoping he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the double blue yet to cycle Teleria West for it. So let's hope. How many cards do you have in hand? Is it 3?
Yeah, Primeval Titan and 2 other cards.
And I know about the forest because of the bounce land. So he's
Yeah,
1
forest.
unknown right now. So let's hope that's not Cavernous Souls. Anything else should be kind of okay for me.
I'm going to play my land for turn, and I wish I had held this bounce land. Amulet, the bounce lands get a lot better when there's an Amulet in play because you can tap it for 2 and then return it to your hand. So basically with every land drop it makes 2 mana. Once it's in play I'm kind of stuck with it there. So the Amulet's not really powering it up anymore. So that just is what it is. It was right when I didn't have the Amulet, but drawing it made me wish I had saved this. But that's part of the deck. I'm going to go ahead and activate now because I can't hold it up, and there's no reason not to put my castle in play, and I'm going to pass.
Okay, so
Now Kyle has perfect information about what I've got here, but I still just am not going to miss an opportunity to get lands in play. With cards like Mana Leak in his deck, I think it's important to just build up my mana constantly.
Yeah, and here I'm just kind of playing the waiting game, pecking in with this 1/1 Shark. So I'll attack you for 1,
I'll go to 19.
and I'll pass turn.
Yep. And so now, with Kyle not doing anything on 4 mana, it seems pretty obvious to me that he has a Cryptic command. He may not, but I'm definitely going to have to respect it because this is really my only game plan right now. So I think what I'm going to do is, if this gets Cryptic, I think I'm just going to lose. I don't really have a lot of outs. And what I can do is kind of pressure him with the Field of the Dead. I already have a Field of the Dead, and it's going to start making zombies at some point here. I need to draw some more land, but it's getting close. So I'm just going to go to combat, and I'll attack you for 4. Or 2, sorry.
2, I take it. 14.
Okay. I want to save this, so I'm just going to pass.
And his deck doesn't like flash in Primeval Titans, so I'm okay to let the shields down now. So at the end of turn, I'm going to flash in Snapcaster Mage and target Opt. And
Sure.
Flashback Opt.
And you see why I waited there, because Kyle very easily could have just snap Mana Leaked me. He probably has Cryptic too. There's just so many things, and I'd rather set up to just try and make sure I get this Primeval Titan in play.
I'm going to draw this off the Opt.
Okay. That's not good for
That's
me.
my pressure here. And I'm going to leave this... No, actually I'm going to crack the Flooded Strand now. I'll go to 13. Just to get my second Hallowed Fountain out of the deck. So I'll eventually need the double white.
Yeah, no reason not to there, unless you... The reason to save it would be you want to save it for a Mystic Sanctuary target.
Yep.
Your only target right now is Mana Leak, so you might as well get the tap duel into place so you're not drawing it, and it's just not going to cost you life later.
Okay. So, drew Planeswalker.
Oh, I don't like to hear that.
So I need to make my land drops. I have this awkward Mystic Sanctuary. So we're kind of in this awkward racing situation. So Field of the Dead, you need 7 lands in play, right?
Yep, I only have 5. They also have to be different names, so if like I drew a forest, it wouldn't get me closer, or another castle.
Yeah, and you have many castles in the deck.
Yeah, I definitely have 4 castle and 4 simic,
those,
so
yeah.
that's kind of awkward.
Okay, so I'm going to start by attacking for 3. So we're trading blows here.
Yep, I can't block.
And here, I would love to play my Stoneforge, but if I do, then I cannot counter as Primeval Titan. So I'm going to play Mystic Sanctuary. And now I'm debating if I want this Mana Leak on top. So you can, yeah, he's getting. There's like a lot of live draws to like invalidate this Mana Leak, so I don't really want to draw the Mana Leak. So I'm just playing that as an island. And then I'm going to pass the turn.
Okay. Would really like to draw Cavern of Souls basically at any point here. That'd be really nice.
Yep.
Alright, we didn't. That was a really awkward draw. Again, it just seems you have 5 cards in hand?
6.
6 cards. So he's passing with 5 mana up and 6 cards in hand. The likelihood that he has interaction for Primeval Titan is extremely high. He's already used 1 Mana Leak and could have gotten it back if he wanted it. So I think the likelihood that you either have another Mana Leak in your hand or you just have another counterspell because you didn't want the Mana Leak to come back is very, very high. So again, I'm just going to wait. Hopefully we can get this Field of the Dead in play. I'm going to play my land for turn. It's unfortunately a second forest, so I'm not even closer, which is very unfortunate, but it is the scenario we're in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then attack you for 2 again. You know what? I'm just going to attack for 1. I'd like to trade with the Snapcaster Mage if he's going to offer that next turn.
Yep. I accept the 1 because I can't flash and block it. Otherwise, I'll lose to the Primeval Titan.
Alright, I'll pass.
At the end of your turn, I'm going to... thinking about firing off a Cryptic Command here, just for velocity's sake. So bouncing the bounce land would give him a lot of mana with Amulet and Skyshroud Rangers. That's a bad one to return. I could bounce Amulet, and then counter it on the way down. But he'd play Amulet as well as Titan on the same turn, and I don't have the capacity to counter both things. So that's bad. So I'm kind of looking at this Field of the Dead as something to just bounce. I don't know if it's worth pulling the trigger on it, because you can also just draw another Cryptic or another Primeval Titan, so I think we're kind of racing here. I'm actually just going to...
You could bounce my Fierce Empath.
I could bounce Fierce Empath. I just didn't want you to see that I could do that.
It's fair.
I'm just going to flash in Spellcaller at the end of turn.
Fair enough.
Because this is... Yeah, Zach has a really good endgame, so I'm just going to try to turn the corner here. Because Snapcaster, I don't want to run into Fierce Empath. Okay, so we found a land here. Another land, so I'm going to play that. I'm going to start by attacking for 3 in the air.
I have no flying blockers. I will just take the damage. Go to 13.
So now I'm going to play Stoneforge Mystic and hold up 4 mana. I couldn't do that last turn.
Well, that's probably not good for me.
Now, both equipments are actually pretty good in this matchup because they both line up well against zombie tokens, but Sword of Feast and Famine is like the best way to kind of close the game, so I'm going to go with that one because what Zach mentioned. Pro Black and Pro Green, extremely relevant right now in this board and every board in the matchup.
Yeah, and it just makes me start discarding cards, which is just really tough. Like, you can see I'm sandbagging this Primeval Titan. You know about it from the Fierce Empath, and it makes it pretty bad that I'm not going to be able to sandbag it for much longer.
Yeah, so I'll pass the turn here. So he knows about the sword, so I'm instigating him to act. And this 1/2 is just stymieing the aggression here.
So I think it's overwhelmingly likely that Kyle has a Cryptic Command. I think that is the case. not only did you talk about it and kind of give it away, but just the way you're playing also suggests, like, I played Stoneforge Mystic on turn 6, holding up 4 mana. When you probably could have played. And you also flashed in the spell color, so you're like clearly not scared of me casting something, which makes me think I should wait, but also if I wait, things are just going to get worse and worse for me, which is pretty awkward. I'm going to get hit next turn. I don't have attacks because Stoneforge Mystic is a 1/2, so that's really awkward. I think what I need to do is just hope that this is tough. I need to hope that I just have a good draw step next turn. I don't really have a better play. Yeah, alright. I am going to cast Azusa.
Azusa. Okay, so if his last card in hand is unknown, adds a single mana, he can go nuts with Castle Garenbrig. So I have to let Azusa resolve.
Okay. So I have a bunch of land drops with Azusa. I could make a ton of mana here. The thing is that I also have not played a land for turn. The thing is that it doesn't matter how much mana I make, I won't get around Primeval Titan, or Cryptic Command on my Primeval Titan. I could beat a Mana Leak, which you could have Snap Mana Leak. But I think just the best play here is just use one land drop from Azusa. I'm going to pick up this this is going to come into play tapped. It'll untap because of this. I'm going to pick up this Forest because it's the thing that's kind of stopping me from Field of the Dead as discard fodder to the Feast and Famine hitting me next turn, and then just pass.
Yep, I was going to yell at you if you just played a land that didn't put another land in your hand.
Yeah.
Otherwise your prime time's going away. So at the end of turn, I can fire off a Cryptic, but not a... I'm just going to kind of sit on my wall of counter magic here and untap. Alright, so we drew a good removal spell here. Might come in handy a little later because now I'm kind of like, I'm finding a lot of different avenues to close the game. Dismember can stop the Dryad from killing me out of nowhere with Valakut. So once I have that avenue, it's like Zach can only attack me with Primeval Titan or zombie tokens here. So like Dismember is kind of the way to round out, you know, the full amount of ways to actually kill me. So I'm gonna. So I know his hand, so it doesn't matter which order I do this in. So I'm going to start by playing Mystic Sanctuary. I'm not going to put anything on top of the deck. I'm going to, since I'm going to untap my lands for sure, I'm going to start by playing Teferi Time Raveler. Because I'm going to get the mana back on main phase 2. I'm going to activate Stoneforge Mystic, put Sword of Feast and Famine on the battlefield. These two already fly, so I'm going to suit up the Snapcaster Mage, and I'm going to go to combat. I'm going to attack you for 7.
Yep, that puts me to 6.
And then trigger Sword. I tap my lands, you discard a card.
Discard the Forest we talked about.
And then Zach cannot attack my Teferi. I don't really even care about Teferi, to be honest. It's kind of a cycler here. Yeah, because there's not a lot of instant speed interaction. So some plays I could make here is to bounce Spell Queller, so I can actually return a... so I can counter a spell when I recast it, or I can return Stoneforge Mystic and go get a Batterskull. I think I'm going to... I'm actually just going to bounce the Stoneforge Mystic.
Okay.
Because I have most things covered here. And then I'm going to recast Stoneforge and go get a Batterskull.
Yep.
And I'll pass to you.
Alright. I'm going to see if I can draw something that helps me beat this Cryptic Command. We drew a Valakut, so I actually get a zombie now. We have a zombie.
Oh, very nice.
We're up to zombie life, and this isn't going to resolve, but I have to try. I get to play around Mana Leak at least. Oh, this actually untaps because of Amulet.
Yep.
I'm going to cast my Primeval Titan.
Alright, so I have the Cryptic Command that we've all been jockeying around.
Yep.
I'm going to counter Primeval Titan, and I'm going to, I don't know, I guess I'll return Mystic Sanctuary.
Sure. That's enough. I'm dead on board to this, and you just equip Spell Queller, or just attack with flyers. I can't block anything, so... yep, he'll kill me on the next swing, and that is that.
One thing to note, do you play Field of Ruin?
I don't have any... I have one Ghost Quarter.
Oh, Ghost Quarter, yeah, okay. Yeah, so the Cryptic lock can be broken up. If I go Cryptic Command, tap your team, and return Mystic Sanctuary, Zach can Ghost Quarter the Mystic Sanctuary, and that is the only target. So the entire spell will fizzle, so that is kind of, you know, Zach's free to attack then at that point.
Alright, so we're back here post-board. I got kind of clowned there in that game, and I actually think that's pretty typical of a way in which Amulet loses this matchup. You're really, really reliant on resolving a prime time, and if you don't get it in play, you're going to die. And as you could see there, the mana acceleration was never really an issue for my deck. I had all the mana in the world. It was more about, can I jockey through Kyle's interaction to get a prime time in play, and I didn't have the tools that game. The deck has the tools, but I didn't draw them, I didn't have access to them, so predictably I got crushed. That said, post-board we get some good tools. I get 2 Veil of Summers as a proactive counterspell that works through a Teferi. Like I had a Pact Negation in my main deck, which is a good piece of interaction. I can use it to get through like a Cryptic lock. I can stop the Cryptic, but if you have a Teferi in play, it doesn't do anything, and it's pretty awkward when you cast a Teferi because I just have to kind of sit there and like, well, I gotta use my pack, so like his Teferi is Stone Raining, like just taking my whole next turn, which is really awkward. Mystical Dispute and Veil of Summer are much more practical answers. Mystical Dispute's a 1-mana answer to Teferi. You don't typically have a ton of mana. I'm not like pathing you or anything, so it's live most of the game, and it can function as a way to counter a Spell Queller. It can counter like an Aether Gust on one of my guys, so I like all that. Veil is mostly to stop like Cryptic. That's mostly all it stops, although I guess you do have a Dismember, so maybe that could come up that I could use it, a Veil to protect there. I'm using Tireless Trackers just to be a little more threat dense. It's just something Kyle actually has to respect. It's a card that can kind of run away with the game that's not Titan, and I don't have very many of those. I have 2 Dismembers specifically because of Sword of Feast and Famine. It's pretty important for me to blow out and equip if I can, or to free my spell from a Spell Queller. And then I have a Woodfall Primus as a kind of catch-all. It can destroy an equipment. It can destroy a Planeswalker you might have in play. You can even destroy a Colonnade if that matters. And it's kind of an annoying threat. You do have Path to Exile, but he's big. He has Trample. I don't know. That seems good enough for me. And then you saw last game I was kind of flooding out. I just had a ton of like acceleration, and the deck needs to play that acceleration. It's very important, but it's important for matchups like Burn or Infect or those kind of decks where I'm really trying to just get Primeval Titan in play as fast as possible. This isn't about getting him in play fast. It's more about making sure he gets into play. So I think cutting some of the acceleration is fine. I'm cutting a Radiant Fountain. The deck has 32 lands. Trimming down to 31 lands or even 30 lands is not crazy. I think that's fine to do. EE is not bad in the matchup, but it's a little expensive. It can kind of get blown out by Queller. If you quell an EE, then it comes back for 0, and it doesn't really hurt your deck if it's on 0, but it can hurt mine because it will blow up my zombie tokens, so that's awkward. And again, Summoner's Pact is kind of bad against Spell Queller. It can be kind of bad against Cryptic Command, where you're like, I cast Summoner's Pact, you bounce a land, and I die in my upkeep. And it can just, like, it's exposed to Force Negation, which is pretty awkward, so I'd rather have the Fierce Empath plan, or the, like, crack Tireless Tracker clues until I naturally draw a Primeval Titan plan, and then we talked about the Pact Negation, so cutting those 9, bringing in these 9, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and the way I'm sideboarding here is, so I'm bringing in 3 Aether Gusts. That's like, every blue deck has Aether Gusts in the sideboard, and it's for this matchup.
Yep. I mean, it's for every matchup at this point, but yeah, definitely this one.
Yeah, I have been seeing some main deck Aether Gusts. It doesn't look insane to me. Now, Aether Gust, I can put Primeval Titan on top of Zach's deck, so it beats Veil of Summer, because I'm not actually countering it. Same with Spell Queller, so I'm, about half my counter spells are just like kind of naturally good against Veil, which is a big win. I'm boarding in Supreme Verdict, basically kind of swapping 2 verdicts and 2 paths. The reason for that is once Primeval Titan resolved, there's something scary with the lands. It's usually zombie tokens. That's the way to like kind of win a long game. So Supreme Verdict resets the zombie tokens as well as dealing with the Primeval Titan. And it's blue, so I can also just chuck it to force a negation. So it's pretty versatile in the matchup. I'm cutting a couple Teferi Time Ravelers, even though Zach is respecting it with his sideboard plan. The reason is it's a sorcery, so especially on the draw, I don't want to tap out for Teferi and then just get prime timed. That's a really easy way to lose. So instead of tapping out for Teferi, I'm just like holding up Aether Gust or something like that. Also with Veil of Summer, Zach can just proactively cast Veil of Summer, even though he can't cast it as an instant. You can just say, I'm going to cast Veil, and now my stuff can't be countered after that, including my Primeval Titan when he got 7 mana.
Yep.
So I just have to counter Veil, even when Teferi's on the battlefield. So I don't want to do that to myself.
Yeah. And I actually think it's a really powerful play on your part to like see me boarding in a bunch of stuff to play around Teferi, to respect the card, and then you just cut him. So I'm kind of going out of my way to beat this card that's not even in your deck. Although I guess you still have some copies, but it's kind of like the card is still giving you value out of your sideboard,
Yeah, and I am leaving 1 Teferi in, because it does have some power still, but it's more of a late game, like, back when we're jockeying for Primeval Titan resolving, not something I want to just slam on 3. That's just a way to lose. Zach has to board in Mystical Dispute, though, not only for Teferi, but also Ashiok Dreamrender. I'm not playing that card. The reason being is because if I cast it early, then if it gets disputed, I kind of lose the game. And you're boarding in Tireless Tracker, so you're able to pressure the Planeswalker as well. So I actually just don't like that card at all.
I also just have a lot of 1/1s kind of naturally, which aren't great at damaging your life total, but when I only have to deal like 5 to an Ashiok, it's totally reasonable that I could get it down.
Yeah, so Aether Gust is my primary way of interacting with you. I've seen people go as far as to board in Beast Within to deal with Ashiok. I'd just rather sidestep it, because I don't think this matchup is bad enough to warrant kind of that narrow card. Like, I don't like Ashiok and like blue mirrors either. Because I have a bunch of Teferis. If a blue Planeswalker resolves, it should be Teferi or Jace, and I'm just going to win the game, not do this like kind of mid-lane turn off your search effect.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I'm just cutting Spell Snare, no 2-drops, and Shark Typhoon, just to kind of reduce the curve. Basically, against uninteractive decks, I just kind of swap the Shark Typhoon with the Spell Queller in the sideboard.
Sure, and that makes sense. Shark Typhoon's more like a value card, and this matchup's not about value. This matchup's making sure you stop me from putting my prime time in play, right?
Yep. And
Shark Typhoon just doesn't do that at all. It just is a value flyer, right?
Yeah, and I can't go all in with it because Zach, as well as every other Amulet deck, boards in Dismember post board, so I don't want to go all in on this Shark Typhoon token, like just kind of willy-nilly, because that's a good way for me to lose the game. That's something I need to watch out for post board.
Sure. All right, let's shuffle up in battle.
Okay.
All right, I'm on the play here. I've got an incredibly awkward hand. My only lands are 2 Valakits. And other than that, I have awesome spells. I would love this, but this just isn't going to work, so I'm going to have to go to 6.
So my hand's interesting. Something that often happens with this deck is you draw an equipment in your opener. I've drawn an equipment in Batterskull. So it's kind of like I'm mulliganing here, but I'm going to keep the hand on the strength of my interaction, and I have a little bit of card filtering to find early interaction like Stoneforge Mystic. And even if I draw Stoneforge, then this Batterskull is actually fine, because it's a good way to pressure zombie tokens should the game go that way. But I'm basically keeping on the strength of Aether Gust plus 3 mana.
All right, this hand is much better than my last one. I do like this card in the matchup. I boarded it in, but in this hand, it's not really what I'm looking for. What I'm really looking for is more of these. That said, I have 2 of this one, so it's not crazy that I would just bottom one of these and hope to draw lands. I think that's reasonable. But I don't want to go that way. I'm going to bottom this. Hope I draw well. Alright. I'm going to play a tapped Castle Garenbrig and pass to you.
Alright, so a shock land here. I'm going to keep my fetch lands so I can go with the Mystic Sanctuary Aether Gust train later on, so I'm just going to shock. Go ahead.
Alright, he's shocked, so this could die, but I'm going to go ahead and cast the Sakura Tribe Scout.
Yep, resolves.
And then I'm going to play a Cavern of Souls and name Giant.
Okay. That is interesting. So why would you run it out that early? That might be a land light hand then, because he's exposing it to Field of Ruin ahead. Or it might just be like a bounce land. He might have like 1 bounce land in hand. But he wants to go nuts with Sakura Tribe Scout. So those are kind of the 2 things that are jumping out to me, because normally I shouldn't be seeing Cavern until there's trouble. So at the end of turn, I'm going to cast Opt, looking for Stoneforge Mystic ideally. Force here. How many cards do you have in hand?
4.
4? Huh. So Veil is down, Mystical Dispute is down currently. I'm gonna bottom the Force. I think I can do better. Okay. Draw for turn. Okay. Now. So I need to respect Veil of Summer. I have 3 potential islands here, so I can fire a Gust off more aggressively. So I'm gonna play this, and then I don't know if I want. So you didn't cast Amulet, so you don't have Amulet in your hand because you have the ability to do that. You're not leaving up any interaction. This next play could be Dryad, which I don't care about. This is an interesting one because I can just fire off this Gust here. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to 17 life, get an island, and Aether Gust, the Sakura Tribe Scout.
Tribe Scout's going on the bottom.
All right.
I was going to say, it's totally possible, like when you're talking about the Field of Ruin thing, that I have a bounce land in my hand, and I know you can't Field of Ruin next turn because you can't do it until you have 3 mana.
Yep.
And Tribe Scout does protect me from it. If I have a bounce land in my hand and you go to activate, I can activate Tribe Scout, pick up the land you're targeting, and it just fizzles your Field of Ruin.
Yep. That way I'm down a land and Zach is not.
Yep, and given that you presumably have the Field of Ruin, it makes a ton of sense for you to Gust there because of that interaction. It also slows me down quite a bit. Alright, I'm going to draw for turn. That was a good draw. A little late, but still good. So I'm going to go ahead and expose the real reason I ran out Cavern of Souls. Is that I had another. I'm going to name Giant. And cast Fierce Empath.
Okay.
And pass to you.
Okay, so now I drew Verdict. This game, hopefully, I mean, you never want to actually use the Verdict. That means something might have gone wrong. So I'm going to start with Polluted Delta here. This represents a Mystic Sanctuary, so I don't want to crack it if I can help it. I'm just going to pass the turn.
Good. You know about my prime time. I'm going to draw for turn. Okay. I am going to go to combat.
Okay.
Attack you for 1.
I accept your beats.
The medium beats. Kyle might have another Aether Gust, and that would be problematic, but he can't fetch and get a Mystic Sanctuary at the moment. And I'm not going to cast a Prime Time next turn anyway. My hand would allow it, but I want to wait until I get to 6 mana because Cavern doesn't work with Castle Garenbrig. So what I'm going to do here is just Bojuka Bog you and get rid of the Aether Gust now.
Ooh, okay. Yep, that's fine. Graveyard is exiled.
And then I'll pass to you.
Okay, at the end of turn, I'm going to fire off this Opt. Ooh, we don't want to draw Mystic Sanctuary, thank you. We did enough of that last game. Okay, so we do a removal spell. Okay, yep, and not breaking the fetch because it represents Mystic Sanctuary, and we have a Sanctuary at the bottom of our deck, which is exactly where we want it, so I'm making a mental note of that. Okay, drew Archmage's Charm. That won't be countering Primeval Titan. I think I'm just playing the draw go. Go ahead.
Alright. Well, I'm winning here. I got the 1-1 to your no pressure, so feel pretty firmly ahead.
He really is.
Alright, so actually kind of an interesting draw step here. I'm gonna go ahead and no, you know what? I'm not gonna go to combat. It's still in my main phase. I'm gonna go ahead and tap my Bojuka Bog to cast an Amulet over here.
Amulet, and you have
3 cards.
4 total with the.
4 total with this.
Okay. So far, I don't think you're gonna go completely nuts with Prime Time this turn. So I can counter if I want to. The question is, do I want to? Now I can steal it with Archmage's Charm. Be a hot play. I don't know if this game at that point is going to be about lands entering the battlefield untapped. I don't know if that matters this game, so it might be worth it to hold the counter. So I'm going to let that resolve.
Okay. Now that Amulet's in play, it's a much better play for me to play this land. So I'm going to play a Breeding Pool tapped. I'm not going to play the 2-life, but it will enter untapped because of Amulet. Or it'll enter tapped and then untap itself. Then I'm going to go to combat and attack you for 1.
I accept your beats.
And then I will pass to you.
Okay. So now I can fire off this Archmage's Charm if I break a polluted delta for a regular island. I think that's okay. I'd like to get some velocity going, so I'm going to go to 14, grab an island, and wow, look at that. Both Mystic Sanctuaries at the bottom of my deck.
You shuffle them towards the top now. That's bad for you.
Oh, man.
Now you're going to draw them.
I know. It would have been better if I didn't crack this until I wanted the Mystic Sanctuaries. Now, Zach's not casting any creatures. You made all your land drops so far, so I'm trying to figure out what's left in his hand.
Well, I'm a really land-heavy deck, so I would imagine there's some lands in here. And you got rid of my acceleration, so...
Yeah, and you didn't cast more amulets, so I'm putting him on either lands, or I haven't really given him an opportunity to cast Mystical Dispute, so it could be that. So I would be exposing Archmage's Charm to Dispute, but I'm going to cast it and draw 2. See if that resolves.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2. Okay. Not great. I'll go to my turn.
Did we draw the Mystic Sanctuary?
No.
Oh!
Worse.
Oh, even worse. All right.
All right. So I'm going to play my land, and I'm going to pass the turn.
All right. I'm going to draw for turn.
Feels like one of the maybe interaction-heavy turns.
That's an interesting draw. So yeah, this turn I'd like to do some things, if at all possible. So I'm going to go ahead and float a green mana for a giant.
Okay.
And then I'm going to play a Rule Turf. Rule Turf is going to untap. It's going to have a bounce trigger. gonna pick up the cavern. It's a giant.
Okay.
So I have 1 green floating. Not super important. This will go 3 mana with a green for giant, 4 green for giant, 5, 6. So I have 6 mana, and my Perennial Titans is uncountable. I'm gonna play it.
Okay. And you have 3 cards in hand.
Yep. And you know one's a Cavern of Souls.
Okay. Yeah, and so you didn't Mystical Dispute my Archmage's Charm, so this could be a Veil of Summer turn. I'm gonna start. I'm just kicking the action off with the obvious play of Aether Gust, your Primeval Titan.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for me. He goes back on top.
Okay, no interaction there.
And I'm gonna go to combat. Attack you for 1.
Yep, I take 1. I go to 13.
And then I will pass to you.
Okay. Now, I have the option to go for like a Snap Sword line, but Zach has this 1 mana up, and he did not Mystical Dispute my Archmage's Charm, and he did not fight with Veil of Summer, so that means it's either lands or Dismember in hand. Dismember is like kind of the last card that he hasn't cast, or it could just be another redundant Primeval Titan. So I'm respecting Dismember here, so I'm trying to balance between the two, but I need to pressure the Primeval Titan because Aether Gust is not a permanent solution. So at the end of turn, I'm going to sacrifice Flooded Strand, go to 12. Regardless, I need to get the clock started a little bit here. So I'm going to grab a Mystic Sanctuary, put Aether Gust on top of my deck. So Aether Gust on top. With the Aether Gust trigger on the stack, so there's a Mystic Sanctuary targeting Aether Gust to put on top of my deck. I don't want that to resolve yet because I want to flash in Snapcaster Mage. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to target Opt, and I'm going to flash back Opt. The reason I'm doing that is because if I let this resolve, then I basically burn my Scry. It's just blue mana draw a card, because I already know I really want this Aether Gust. So I'm going to Scry this. Ooh, we drew this. Yes, I want this.
Oh no.
Boop, had it.
Oh.
So I'm going to draw that. Now the Aether Gust is going to resolve. Now we like have a lot of avenues locked up. Because we talked about this Field of Ruin action that comes up, interaction, it comes up very frequently in this matchup. So now we draw this Aether Gust that Zach knows I have. Now, which land to destroy? So I feel like I have a lot of things kind of buttoned up at this point, so I don't need to expose my turn to like getting blown up by Dismember. So I'm just gonna go with a Field of Ruin to destroy the Gruul Turf.
Yep.
Let's search for an island.
I would like to not search, please. Man, I even got rid of the first Aether Gust. You just have the second.
Yeah,
Tough.
and it was a tell, right?
Yep.
Because I was pretty cavalier about the first one, so it was either I have Mystic Sanctuary to put it back, I have Snapcaster to flash it back, which I did have, and then I also had just a redundant copy of Aether Gust. I think I had that when I fired it off. So now, yeah, this isn't a Feast and Famine turn. You have 2 cards in hand, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them's Cavern. Yeah, so one Zach had, 3 cards. Okay, so one of them's Cavern. Since Zach has 2 Caverns, like that's why I didn't go after the one with Giant. Just kind of a waste of time. Like, once he has 1, that's all we need. So I went after the double mana land. I'm just gonna attack you for 2. No, pass to you.
18.
I'm gonna just leave out my interaction here.
That's an interesting draw. So, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to cast a Tireless Tracker.
You have how many cards in hand? 3. 1 Cavern. So there still could be Dismember in hand. I feel like there was a turn where you could have cast the Tireless Tracker before. So I'm not respecting Veil of Summer this turn. I'm gonna let... No, I should just... I have a turn to Mana Leak, so... Yeah, you have no mana floating, right?
No mana floating.
Yeah, right. I'm just gunning it and mana leaking it.
Alright. I am going to cast a Veil of Summer.
Ooh. Interesting. 2 cards left. Now that's an interesting one.
There was never really a good spot to use the Veil before. You said about the time when you gusted it, but it doesn't stop gust.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
You're right.
But
Yeah.
there was actually some consideration last turn to just draw my Primeval Titan, just literally green draw a card. So I was thinking about that, but I feel like I'm kind of losing the game at the moment, so I kind of wanted to get full value off of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you haven't played a land drop, so you'll definitely get a clue here. Huh. I think... I don't really want you to get this clue. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so you didn't have the option to Primeval Titan plus Veil this turn, but you had uncounterable Veil. But you know about this Gust that I have. So this is a tricky one. Like, I have a good target for the Gust on the Veil of Summer. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna Veil of Summer, or I'm gonna Aether Gust or Veil of Summer.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on the bottom.
Okay.
And then my Tireless Tracker gets mana leaked. I'm gonna play a Cavern of Souls, and I'm gonna name Shaman.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you counter my Tribe Scouts.
Ooh.
Attack for 1.
Ouch.
No, wait.
Oh.
No, I'm gonna just block. No, I'm gonna attack.
All right. 11.
It's pretty likely you have an equipment. I need to get my beats in. All right, go ahead. I am now through the Veil of Summer headache, so that's good. Or not Veil of Summer, Aether Gust headache. You've used 2 Aether Gusts. It's not super likely you have a third. Although you did fire it off there, so maybe you do. I guess we'll see.
And you have 1 card, right?
I have 1 card.
Okay. So I'm jamming the Sword of Feast and Famine. Now here, Zach could have the Dismember, but if I let my guard down, he needs to top deck something good. And I have Whole Reliable if he draws like a spell. So I'm gonna try to suit it up.
Yeah, the results.
Woo! 4.
Yep, I go to 14.
Trigger.
And I gotta discard my Woodfall Primus.
Ooh.
That was a Shaman.
Oh, it was a Shaman, okay. That was definitely not on my radar.
You killing the Gruul Turf, actually, I had enough mana last turn to cast it if I had the Gruul Turf.
Yeah.
But you killed it, so I was 1 mana short. Really, really annoying. You would have just gusted it. That's the thing with Gust, is my whole deck is weak to it.
Yep.
So I kind of just got to play through them. I could have also, again, I could have played Cavern before I played Tireless Tracker. I drew Tireless Tracker for that turn. So I could have played Cavern named Human and then played Tireless Tracker, but then I'm exposing it to any Sweeper or Path to Exile, all these things where I don't get the clue.
Yep.
So I think it's like the best line. I think I made the best play I could there, where I entice you into using a Mana Leak, try to Veil it. It doesn't work, but I do get the Gust out of your hand, and now I'm giving myself a spot to top deck a Titan.
Yep. Yeah, that's what this is all about here. And if you draw, you have only a single blue, so you can't. So Teleria West is a bad draw this turn because now I have the Sword of Feast and Famine. So I have like the Summoner's Pack locked here. So I'm just gonna run out a Batterskull, make a Germ, and I'll pass to you.
Oh boy, here we go.
The equipments are. They were awkward, but there's a time where they're just suddenly not awkward. But you gotta Gotta get lucky and have enough interaction.
Let's go. Prime time right here. Oh?
Yes.
Does this do it? Are we there? Or am I'm 1 mana short, aren't I? Oh no, this Gruul Turf thing is just biting me left and right. So, if I activate like this, that's 6 mana for a creature spell, and then I have 7 mana. Or, yeah, no, I'm way short. Ugh. I was only going to have 8. I still wouldn't have been able to do it.
Oh, man.
It's tough, too, because this is such a good draw. Like, it gets around the Force Negation. But if I put something in my hand, I just lose it to the Feast and Famine. And the thing that I would get to, like, kind of beat that is the Woodfall Primus. What I really need is another bounce land to just get cards in my hand, you know? I guess the best play I can make here is to just play my Woodfall, or my Fierce Empath.
Oh, okay.
And
Getting the results.
I'm gonna search and fail to find, I guess, because I don't want to. I want to still leave Primeval Titan in my deck to draw, but I'll shuffle that Veil of Summer back in, I guess. Maybe no, I was not supposed to do that. I was supposed to leave the Veil on the bottom.
Yes. Yeah, the Veil will never have another good turn, I don't think, for this game.
Nope, I'm gonna die too quick. All right, well, there's my 1/1. Your turn.
All right. I don't know what does Field of Ruin do here. This might do something for me.
Well, I now have one naming Shaman, so you can actually turn me off of Giant.
Yeah, I can't actually counter a creature right now. I could take you off blue mana. I don't think a single blue you can do anything with. I'm more worried about Tolaria West because Mystical Dispute's a dead draw now, the way this game's going. I think it's probably worth it to just gonna suit up this Germy boy. So he's got 6 power protection from green and black. I'm just gonna attack you for 6. Trigger.
Yep. I don't have anything to discard, so joke's on you. I don't have to discard.
I just did it for the 6 life. That's all I wanted. Now I don't.
So you got an untapped trigger on the stack. You could kind of get a free Field of Ruin here if you wanted.
Yeah, I don't even know if I don't know what I want to do with it. I don't think there's a good one, so I'm just gonna untap my lands.
Okay.
I'll pass you.
Still looking for Primeval Titan. It's basically my only out. Didn't draw Primeval Titan, but I do have a Cavernous Shaman, so I got an uncounterable Tribe Scout.
Very nice.
Your turn.
Okay. Well, if Zach ever does draw Primeval Titan, I'm going to murder it. I won't be countering it, but I'll be murdering it. we have a lot of answers to creatures here. Varying colors. I'm just going to attack for 6. Trigger.
Yeah, I'm at 2.
I'm at 23. Your turn.
Dryad of the Elysian Grove, I'm dead.
Very nice.
Just pro-green black, just going to be too much.
We just had, oh man, Aether Gust on top.
Ah, too many gusts. Alright, we're going to play one more game. I'm going to be on the draw this time. We'll pretend I didn't just get savagely 0-2'd by Mr. Kyle here. And we'll see how this next game goes.
This is like almost the same hand as last game. Which I kept last time, so I'm going to keep.
My hand's kind of awkward. This card on the draw is not as good as you'd like it to be, but it works good enough. So, yeah, I'm going to keep.
All right.
Actually get to keep 7 for once.
Island, go.
Ooh. I'm going to play a Valak at the Molten Pinnacle and pass to you.
And turn opt.
Sure.
Wow, it actually did it this time. I'm drawing Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh no.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted the whole time. Alright, Stoneforge Mystic. And here, so I already have this in hand, so my choice is forced, but it's important to, I don't know, when I play paper tournaments, I jockey for position a little bit. Like, you know, I'm just like holding Flooded Strand, but like I don't want to give away the Batterskulls in my hand,
Oh, sure.
so I want to make it look like I have a decision. And then I'll pass to you.
Makes sense. Alright, so I'm going to start my turn off playing an Amulet of Vigor.
Ooh, Amulet. Let me think about that one. Again, you have to jockey. I might have Force of Negation, you don't know. I don't remember if I have Force. Either way, I gotta look at my hand. That resolves.
Alright. Good start for the home team here. I'm now going to put a Simic Growth Chairman in play. It's going to come into play, tapped, untap. It's going to return a land to my hand. That's going to be my Valakut. And then I'm going to go ahead and cast a Sakura Tribe Scout.
Yep.
And pass to you.
Okay, so we both have kind of our namesake card. Ooh. Got two of these now. Alright, so I gotta fire off this right now. Let's play around Veil of Summer.
It's dead.
It's costly. I pass to you.
So I actually have some options here. I can kind of slow play to protect this and maybe play around like a mana leak, but I don't think that's going to get me where I need to go. You know what? I think I'm going to take the line that is really, really awkward against Gust and hope that you do not have it. No. No, I just need to be smart. Yeah, I'm just going to be smart. Alright. I'm going to play the Valakut you know about. It'll untap, and I'm going to cast a Dryad of the Elysian Grove.
Dryad. Okay, so then you'd have another land drop. So there's definitely merit in interacting with this. Oh man. Oh, that's a tricky one, actually. Because I want to put Feast and Famine in. But if Zach just plays an untapped land, then I need to respect this Dismember again. Either way, I need to start by cracking this, because if his land is, if he wants to go land plus Dismember, and I like have this fetch land up, he can just Dismember the Stoneforge in response to me fetching this land, and then I have like no play. So that's the first thing to do. How many cards do you have in hand? 7. You should have a lot. 5. Okay. This is tough. If he puts it on top, I'm like kind of priced into doing something similar because Amulet can go kind of wild here. I'm going to take kind of a risky line and let Dryad resolve.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and play a Castle Garenbrig. It'll come and play untap, tap. Actually, it just comes into play untapped because these are forests because of this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It doesn't matter. End result, it's untapped. I'll pass to you.
Alright, I'm going to activate Stoneforge. Here I would have thought about it a little more because Zach doesn't know I have Batterskull in my hand, just sword. So Batterskull does actually have some upside here if he has Dismember. Because that way I'm not priced into investing so much of my mana into this sort of Feast and Famine. And if he dismembers my Stoneforge, the Batterskull will be trapped. So I'm actually going to take a conservative line, just put Batterskull on the battlefield here.
Yep.
Okay, so that was the worst draw for now. Redundant Stoneforge. So here you have 4 mana. You can have like a ton of mana. This is kind of rough. Yeah, so here I'm just going to attack you for 4.
Yep. Oh, left also gonna change, but that puts me down to 16.
Alright. I'll go to 19. And I'm just going to pass the turn.
Ooh, no land drop here?
No land drop. That was, yeah, I needed a land there, actually.
Fair enough. That is awkward.
Now I'm susceptible to Primeval Titan plus Mystical Dispute. Zach has enough mana. He has a lot of mana thanks to Dryad plus Amulet. There's a bounce land in hand.
I can make a lot of mana here. I certainly can do that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is play a Bojuka Bog as my land for my first turn. Bog you.
Mhm.
It'll untap. I'm going to float a black. I'm going to play a Gruul Turf. It'll untap. I'm going to pick up my Bojuka Bog.
Mhm.
And then with the black floating... wait. I guess I'm just going to leave the black floating. I'm going to make 6 mana for a creature.
Okay.
And cast Primeval Titan.
Okay, so Zach has left up a red, so I have... The only thing I'm really thinking about here is if Zach left in a Pact of Negation. He would need more. He would need another blue.
I have a black floating.
Oh, you have the black floating still?
I do have a black floating.
Oh, okay, got it.
I floated it with the Bojuka Bog.
Okay, so I'm gonna gust here.
Yoink. I'll pass to you.
Right, please land. Give me land. Oh man, that was like not another Stoneforge, but not glamorous either. So here, yeah, so we drew the one of Shark Typhoon. Not that Spell Queller would have been particularly good here either. I'm just going to attack you with the Germ.
12. And I am just like benefiting so big from you missing the land and not being able to use the Feast of Famine.
Yeah, I'll pass to you.
My resources aren't being depleted. I'm getting closer to being able to do powerful things. Alright, I'm going to draw. I'm going to bog you again.
Bogged.
Still untap. Make 6 mana for a creature and cast Primeval Titan.
Gust.
Your turn.
Alright, land. Okay. We're there. Alright, so Zach's been drawing nothing but Primeval Titans here. Which means I'm not playing around Dismember anymore. He didn't have it. He's going to Prime Time. He's going to get a lot of Valakut triggers, which is bad news for me. So here, I'm going to start by activating Stoneforge. This on the battlefield. Shock to 21.
Yep.
Equip.
Yep.
Attack for 6. Trigger. So I go up to 27.
Discard my Fierce Empath. I'm at 6. You got lethals on board.
Okay, so Zach can shoot down with Valakut, so you get 2 lands, so you can get double bounce lands, so you can like 12 me, right? No, you get another Valakut. You have like so much damage here. I don't really have a good out for that, huh?
I have lethal.
Is it lethal?
It's, yeah.
27? Is that?
Well, I guess because of this, maybe it's not. So if I play my Titan, I get Valakut plus the Haste land, which is
That's right.
12 to you, and then I can get 2 more lands, and that's another 12. Oh, you're 27. That's not lethal. Then you actually have a block.
So yeah, so
it's not lethal.
Well, you can shoot this. Well, you can shoot this down. It'll just detract from 6 damage here.
But it's not lethal either way, right? It won't end up being it. Yeah, because I'm gonna shoot this down, but
Yeah,
it won't be
shoot
lethal.
that down. Okay, so I could Supreme Verdict here. It's like my really only good interaction. But if I don't die, I'm just gonna pass the turn.
Pass.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna draw and do the same play I did last turn because I've been
Snap
getting
Gust.
time walked.
Just kidding.
I was gonna say, please no, stop.
It finally resolves.
All right, we got Titan in play. It took 3 games. Resolves.
Yeah, resolves. I could cycle the Shark Typhoon to like draw Gust. I think my line gives me a good shot to win post Titan though, where I make the 2/2 and suit it up with the Feast and Famine and then Wrath on the second main phase. So that's kind of the win that I'm looking for. Because Zach won't be shooting down my Shark token at instant speed.
You don't know that. I could.
You could.
All right. So I'm gonna so I get 12 triggers. And these will untap. I'm gonna search again, so I'm not gonna bother shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
These will untap. My 12 triggers, I'll put 6 here and 6 at you.
Yep. So I'm at 21.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and give my Primeval Titan haste.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna go to combat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll attack with both of these trigger.
Yep.
I also haven't played a land for turn, so now that I thought this through more, I'm actually.
Yeah.
I think
Am I dead? Did you talk me into it?
Well,
I assumed you did.
I get more triggers by getting 2 bounce lands here.
Yep.
So now that I thought about it,
So that's 20.
I'm gonna get 2 bounce lands, and I still have 2 land drops post combat. So unless you kill my
32.
Dryad.
Yeah. I get 32 if I did this line. Total. After all this stuff happens.
Yeah. So this is gonna do 12 more to you. So you go to 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna return 2 lands to my hand. It'll
You're
be.
seeing 1 to return. Yeah. So I was like super dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So say this thing with this attacking just like is always lethal.
Well,
Generally, it wasn't. I was gonna say it almost is always lethal. This was actually like a weird combination. It's really nice that Valakut is actually colorless, so I can get around the protection.
Yep.
The last time we played, I didn't have that out. That was not a. It's not an out, but
So let's see what the top card is. Assuming I cycled the Shark Typhoon, let's see if I got you there. Okay, didn't get you there.
Alright.
Okay. Yeah, I was in a rough spot. Like if I I guess I'm priced into the Supreme Verdict line. I don't know if that wins me. I don't know if I win from there because you have the Primeval Titan. So I'm like, I'm in a really bad spot. I need to get lucky. But I guess I don't know which one I needed to do there.
it's fair.
Actually.
I've been holding up this Veil of Summer the entire game.
Yeah.
So you kept saying like, oh, he only has a red available. You can't do anything.
Oh,
This
yeah,
lets my
yeah.
lands tap for any color. I was like, oh, cast a counter spell. I'm gonna get him.
You're right.
But nope, never got him. I actually set that up on purpose. That's like you'll see good Valakut players do that, or not Valakut, Primeval
Yeah,
Titan players,
yeah.
where they'll leave up like a different colored land with a Dryad in play just to put like the idea that there's something else happening in the opponent's mind.
I was tricked.
I got him. All right, so not a total beatdown there. It wasn't a great showing from Amulet, but it was respectable.
Yeah, my hand was good there too. I gusted you twice. I had Stoneforge. I had a clock going. Oh, it was the land. Yeah, the land. The land killed me.
It was not the land. Yeah, if you had the Feast and Famine earlier, I think I was gonna die.
Yeah.
It was literally like 1 land was the difference between you having 3 mana a turn or 8 mana a turn. You know.
Yep.
And like Feast and Famine. Also, like I'm discarding a card. Like yeah, it would have been just a completely different game if you hit that land. But that's how it works. So overall, what are your thoughts on this matchup? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I like it. I probably wouldn't board in the second Supreme Verdict again.
Okay.
It's only... Yeah, historically I've only played 1 Verdict in my Stoneblade decks. I'm trying another one just because I have less Quellers than normal.
Sure.
So I'm still getting a little used to the second Verdict. I would just bring in 1 and only board in 5 cards, and probably leave in a second Teferi. Just because on like turn 5 I could have like Teferi plus Gust or something like that.
Yeah,
where I'm
Gust.
not punished.
In my experience, Gust really changes the matchup. Where it's like now, like yeah, it's gonna be tough to like Gust plus cast a Jace, but 5 mana is really doable when you're holding up Gust the whole game. And Teferi just is a way to like redraw it. Like even if you like Gust on 4, play your 5th fetch land, get a Mystic Sanctuary, put Gust on top, Teferi minus. That's a totally reasonable line too.
That's very true.
So yeah, I would say this matchup feels really bad from my perspective. I'm not a fan of it. It's one of the reasons I put the deck down.
Yep.
Yeah, don't love it. So, do you think you want another Gust for the matchup? Do you think like you should have 4 Gusts in your sideboard after playing that? Do you feel like you need it?
I definitely don't need it. Because I mean, you saw even like the Verdict versus Teferi. Now after playing those games, I like the Teferi better.
Sure.
So I think I'm probably like cutting legitimately good cards for the matchup. I actually would prefer a Celestial Purge just because I think the Jund matchup is actually where I need more help.
Sure. Ren and 6 can be tough for that deck sometimes, and
Yep.
Gust isn't a great answer to Ren. It does kind of knock the loyalty down, but Ren's coming back, you know.
Yeah, and Purge hitting Liliana the Veil, always super relevant. I also don't want to Gust Seasoned Pyromancer, so I could definitely make room for a Celestial Purge in the board. I think it would be ahead of the Gust.
All right, fair enough. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Really appreciate you watching. Remember, if you like the content we're making here, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. It really helps us grow. And if you saw any lines you didn't like, or you have any questions about how we played a matchup and you'd like to ask either of us our opinion on something, please feel free to leave a comment. We're happy to answer any questions you might have had. Thank you guys again. See you next time.
Thanks.